project earlier this year. We used various products throughout the installation. The main integration company that we used was Control4. We integrated his whole house audio, his theater control, his lighting control, his security system. We integrated it all together, and he was courteous enough to give me some time to film some things in his beautiful home and ask him a few questions. So without further ado, Mr. Norman, when we initially started talking, we talked about various control companies, and I know you had done a little homework at that point, but once I said, hey, here are the companies we carry, you did a lot of research. And are there a few reasons, or are there a couple more important reasons why you chose Control4 versus other companies?
I think it ended up being the value of the Control4 system, relating the cost of what it could do. There were some other options out there that might have a little bit more flexibility, but in reality, in everyday living, you want the basics, your lighting to be integrated. You want the sound. You want to hit one button and it turns on your theater, and all those things Control4 was able to do very quickly, and very, very satisfied with it.
Awesome. That being said, can you tell me one or two of your favorite features with the Control4 system in the house?
I think it's just that it's just so simple to use. You grab it and it's got the same display, whether it's on the little remote or if it's on the TV set itself. So there's everything's familiar very quickly, and being able to access, in our house here, being able to access the 400 disc Blu-ray player in any room, and the ease of getting, viewing anywhere you want, I think is one of the great things about it. And then the other thing is something simple, but the lighting just works so great. And we have so many lights in this home, and being able to not have to backtrack and turn off lights in different rooms, I can just hit one switch and know that the first floor is shut off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We also, one nice feature of the Control4 system is you have the ability to set the scenes, and I know you like that feature as well, right? That's what we talked about.
Yes, there was no need really for a lot of additional programming on site, and I know that with one of the other systems they always said that plan on having a programmer here for a long time. Yeah. What was very easy is I could walk around and literally in a few minutes change or modify lighting scenes, and it's not something that is permanent by any stretch. Mm-hmm. As I live in the house, I want to change things a little bit because of the way that we use the house, and it's very simple to use.
Awesome. Just one simple question. Have your wife and son found the system pretty easy to use as well?
Oh yeah, our 12-year-old has no problem at all grabbing the remote and doing absolutely everything I can do.
You told me when Mr. Norman told me when he got the couple of touch screens in the home that he didn't have one in his son's room, and his son said, "Dad, I'm going to need one of these in my room," so you got one. Yeah. And it's funny that you say, I assumed that your son would probably be, with kids nowadays, he probably picked it up.
Oh yeah, very simple.
Yeah. One big thing I know is that your house is obviously very themed, just a phenomenal, beautiful home, and very important with the many design aspects that Libby did and things like that, was fitting in all this equipment and touchscreens and light switches and everything fitting into the lifestyle of the home. Are you happy with the way that it kind of fits and works with the house?
Yes, it seems like the design is pretty neutral, that it could work in any themed environment. I think that was great with the lighting switches is they had the ability with the LED light on it that you could have it any color you wished. Mm-hmm. So I picked a color that sort of fit the color theme, but certainly if you wanted to have them change in every room, you could very easily do so.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I was telling the owner as he mentioned that, and I said, yeah, everything from what I've seen, I haven't asked Mr. Norman yet, but from everything I've seen, it fits in beautifully. and especially the lights with so many switches and so many keypads, and the actual finish of the actual switch and the LED being able to change is really, really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Also, one thing you have is you have a ton of not only video but audio sources in the home. He has a Roku box. He has his 400 disc changer throughout the house. 3 different satellite boxes. Apple TV. Just many sources, which is also a function of the Control4 system, and it allows convenient maneuvering between the sources quick. Do you have necessarily a favorite audio or video source that you use the most?
No, I guess the reason why I liked all that was that there's many options, and when you're designing a house and you think you know how you're going to use something, inevitably that changes when you get into the house. So, for instance, having the Apple TV and synced up with my iTunes, and then being able to go out to the pool area and access specific playlists right there
from your iPhone.
Now on my iPhone.
Right.
Is great. So I don't need a remote out there, but I can see everything that I'm doing. And if I wanted to have radio,
we have a pretty specific process when it comes to a full integration of a home like this under new construction. Are there certain aspects that stick out to you, or certain things about our process that you liked, that you thought really added value and really helped in making the system work the way it should?
well, in my case, the part of the process that I liked was that you welcomed my input and my recommendations based on my knowledge. So I was coming to you probably more on a level that I knew a lot about audio and video. So I had some recommendations and companies that I like. So we at least, it wasn't that you just said this is what you have to have. And again, there were some options with different projectors and costs, and what was the discussions about, is it worth the extra money to have that little bit of difference? Like we always said, is that you get to a certain level, then the changes become very, very small. So I was very happy with the quality of the performance of this theater and having it sound like I imagined.
Big things we love and we stress here is that our design process. When we initially spoke and we went over the process of doing the wire diagrams, things like that, acoustic layouts of the theater, and we said, based on that, here's what we're going to draw up. And I mean, did you see a lot of value in us having one set of instructions for our text, so everybody knew exactly what needed to be done, assuring, what we call it is proving it on paper, having it all know that everything's going to plug here and everything's going to work, and once we get it all plugged in, we can do the programming. Did you see value in that design process?
Yeah, I saw tremendous value because there wasn't any confusion during the installation part of this, and with all the different trades working, at least in this case, together. You weren't here by yourself, you were working through everybody else. So having that already done in advance and knowing where you're going to wire everything and run everything, I think was very helpful.
Looking back, this is kind of a general wrap-it-up question, but looking back, it is a really long process to build the home. Just a big home. It took forever to build. Would you do the audio-video interiors part again? The money that you spent, the time that was spent, the time that we spent together in meetings, Jason spent with you in meetings, would you do that all over again? And if you would, absolutely, are there any things you might do a little differently?
Actually, I wish I could say there was something that I forgot. I don't think there is. Everything would have been done exactly the same.
Awesome. That's great. And do you have any hesitance at all for if someone were to come to you and say, hey, Mr. Norman, who installed this system in your home? Would you have any hesitance at all recommending audio video interiors, myself, Jason, anybody in our company?
No, not at all. No hesitation.
The only last question would be, is there anything else you'd like to quickly touch on, or anything like that? Anything you want to talk about, bring up?
Actually, I want to say probably one of the things that distinguishes your company from these other audio video companies is at the end of the day you have to have the knowledge, and knowledge is out there and a lot of people have it. I think that's been unique and very good for me is the fact that the quality of your employees, from the sales aspect to the actual tech side, is having good people, honest people who clean up, who respect the house that they're in, and I think that's why your company is going to be successful over others, is because it's at the end of the day it's really about the people that you're bringing into your home rather than the technology.
Just ask Mr. Norman real briefly to show me an example of a couple scenes that he may have programmed into his keypads and switches here. So he's gracious enough to show me. So here we go.
So downstairs here we have the scene set up on the top left is my normal on scene. So that basically sets up if I come down here and I know I want my normal scene. And then there's a couple different scenes. So if we're not using the gaming area, for instance, I can just hit a button and then it gets the bar and the sitting area over there. And then ultimately at the end, when you're leaving the area, you don't have to run around, you just hit the one button and everything goes and shuts off.
Great. Here we are again in Mr. Norman's theater. I just wanted to take a couple quick seconds to go over some of the different products that we use when we're installing custom theaters. The screen we use here is a 120-inch Stewart perforated screen. Center channel lives behind the screen here from a company called Triad. The left and right channels are behind the speaker grill cloth here on each side in each column, as well as Triad subwoofers live beneath the left and right speakers. In the rear of the room we have 4 on-wall Triad speakers for surround sound for the 7.1 system. The projector that we're using in the room is from a company called DPI. It is called the iVision 30. It's obviously a 1080p projector, very high lumen output for the large screen. A couple of the reasons we use some of the products we use in this room is because the room has a definite theme to it. Mr. Norman had a very solid idea in his head. Here's how I want this room to look. We use that, and within that picture he had in his head, we worked within those parameters. We had some acoustic limitations, things like that. He wanted to definitely have the ability to walk around with some lights on. We used a higher lumen output projector for that. Yeah, he wanted to be able to have parties, people walking in and out, watching sports, things like that. Electronics we used in the theater, we used from a company called Integra, and as well as a company called Rotel. We have a 400 disc Blu-ray changer from Sony that's being controlled by the Control4 system that he can access in here, along with all of his other